You've heard of emotional infidelity. You've heard of physical infidelity. But there's a third kind happening inside marriages and long-term relationships right now at a scale that almost nobody talks about openly. And it's quietly destroying more financial futures than bad investments ever will. It's called financial infidelity. And unlike the other kinds, it doesn't always feel like betrayal when you're doing it. Sometimes it feels like protection. Sometimes it feels like privacy. Sometimes it feels like the only way to avoid a fight you've had 17 times already and still don't know how to finish. Let's talk about what it actually is. Not the dramatic version, the real one. Financial infidelity isn't just hiding a shopping bag in your trunk. That's the version people joke about. The real version is quieter and more structural. It's the credit card your partner doesn't know exists, not the balance, the card itself. It's the savings account in your name only that you've been funding for 3 years with the mental footnote that it's just in case. It's the debt you carried into the relationship that you still haven't disclosed, not because you planned to hide it, but because the right moment to say something never came. And then it was 6 months in, and then it was 2 years in, and now the number has a gravitational weight you don't know how to lift without destroying something. It's lying about what something cost. It's lying about how much you earn. It's making a financial decision that affects both of you and presenting it after the fact as though it was inevitable. A 2023 survey by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that roughly 43% of people in committed relationships admitted to financial deception. Nearly a third of those said it led to a significant relationship conflict. 15% said it ended the relationship entirely. 15%. That's nearly 1 in 6 couples undone, not by a lack of love, but by a lack of financial transparency. Here's the thing nobody tells you. The couples who stay together, who actually build something, who reach their 50s with real assets and real security and a real life they constructed together, they didn't get there because they agreed on money instinctively. They got there because at some point they decided to stop performing financial competence for each other and start telling the truth. That's the origin of what I'm calling quiet wealth. Quiet wealth is not having a lot of money. Plenty of people with a lot of money have nothing built because they built it separately and performatively and defensively. Quiet wealth is the financial architecture a couple constructs together over years, without an audience, without the pressure of appearing affluent, and without the secret ledgers that separate mine from yours in ways that will matter when the crisis arrives. And the crisis always arrives. It's called quiet because it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up in the car you drive or the vacation you post. It shows up in the conversation you can have at the kitchen table without your chest tightening. It shows up when one of you loses a job and the other one says, "We have 7 months," and means it. It shows up when you're 58 and you can actually look at each other and say, "We did this together," and the numbers confirm it. Quiet wealth is built slowly and usually without drama, but it cannot be built while you are keeping secrets from each other about money. It cannot coexist with financial infidelity. The two things are structurally incompatible. Here's why. Let's make the damage concrete, because the cost of financial infidelity isn't just emotional. It's calculable. Take a couple, both 32, combined income of $142,000 a year. They've been together 4 years and engaged for 8 months. On paper, they look like they're building. 2 salaries, mid-range lifestyle, a wedding coming that they're saving toward. Here's what neither of them has fully disclosed to the other. He has $19,000 in student loan debt at 6.8% that he described as mostly paid off 18 months ago. It is not mostly paid off. He's making minimum payments. The interest has been quietly compounding at roughly $108 every month. Money that leaves before he counts it. Money she doesn't know is leaving. She has a credit card with an $8,400 balance she opened before they met and has been slowly paying down. But slowly means over 5 years, which means $170 a month in interest at a 23% APR. She knows the balance. He doesn't. Together, they are hemorrhaging $278 a month in interest on debt the other person doesn't know exists. That's $3,136 a year. Over 5 years, that's $16,180 in interest payments on debt they could have eliminated together in 14 months if they'd combined their resources and attacked it intentionally. $16,680. Not in the market, not in the emergency fund, not in the down payment account. Gone, silently, because the conversation felt too hard to have at the beginning. And that's just the interest. That number doesn't include the compounding they missed. It doesn't include the weight it put on every money conversation they did have, every time one of them suggested a vacation or a car upgrade, and the other one said, "I don't know. Can we afford it?" while silently calculating something the other person couldn't see. That friction, that low-grade financial tension that lives in a relationship when both people have partial information, is not free. It costs energy. It costs trust. It costs the clarity that lets two people actually make decisions together rather than each managing their private version of the shared financial reality. The research here is less romantic than you'd hope, but more instructive. A study published in the Journal of Financial Therapy found that financial conflict is among the top predictors of divorce, more reliable even than sexual frequency or communication quality. But it wasn't the absence of money that drove conflict. It was the presence of secrecy. Couples who argued about money but argued about it transparently, with both people having full information, had significantly better outcomes than couples with higher incomes and hidden financial behavior. What that means is this: it's not the debt that ends relationships. It's the discovery of the debt. It's not the spending. It's the moment when your partner realizes you've been managing a reality they weren't allowed to see. Because that moment is not just a financial revelation. It's a trust revision. Every previous conversation about money gets re-examined. Every time they suggested a financial decision and you pushed back or agreed, they're now wondering whether your response was real or whether it was calculated around the thing you weren't saying. That re-examination is erosive in a way that's hard to recover from. Not impossible, but hard and entirely avoidable. The couples who build quiet wealth don't avoid financial conflict. They have it. They have it early and they have it fully and they have it with all the numbers on the table. Those early conversations are uncomfortable. They're sometimes humiliating. Saying I have $24,000 in debt and I haven't told you is one of the harder things a person can say to someone they love and want to impress. But it's recoverable. The $24,000 is recoverable. What's much harder to recover from is the version of that conversation that happens 3 years later, after the wedding, after the joint account, after the mortgage application that gets declined because of a liability your lender found before your partner did. There's a version of financial transparency that people imagine is clinical and joyless. Two people sitting across a table with spreadsheets, assigning each other line items, optimizing the household like a small business. That's not what this is. The money conversation that builds quiet wealth is not a negotiation. It's a disclosure. It starts with one person saying, "This is where I actually am," and the other person not punishing them for it. That's it. That's the whole thing in its simplest form. Here's what I actually have. Here's what I actually owe. Here's what I actually earn. Here's what I'm actually afraid of when it comes to money. Because most people's financial behavior is driven by one of three fears: scarcity, judgment, or loss of control. And if your partner doesn't know which one drives you, they will misread your behavior every single time. The person who grew up with nothing and stocks a secret savings account is not hiding money out of malice. They're managing a terror that their partner has no context for. The person who spends on luxury items they hide from their partner isn't necessarily irresponsible. They might be reasserting the one domain in their life that feels like autonomy. Neither of those behaviors is financially healthy, but neither of them is incomprehensible once you understand what's underneath it. The money conversation includes the numbers and the history behind the numbers. Now let's talk about what building together actually looks like in practice. Not aspirationally, actually. You have one document that both of you can see. Not a budget, a balance sheet. Every account, every debt, every monthly obligation. Both of you update it. Both of you have the passwords. This document is not judged, it's maintained. You have 3 financial goals at any given time. 1 short term, 6 months or less. 1 medium term, 1 to 5 years. 1 long term, retirement, estate, legacy. They are written down, and they belong to both of you equally, not his retirement account and her emergency fund. Our retirement accounts, our emergency fund. You have a standing conversation, not a crisis conversation, a routine one. Some couples do this monthly, some quarterly. The format doesn't matter. The habit matters. You sit down, you open the document, you look at where you are and where you're going, and you're not surprised by anything because neither of you has been operating in secret. That routine is the mechanism of quiet wealth, not any particular investment strategy. Not income level. The ritual of shared financial visibility repeated over years is what builds the thing. And the thing it builds is not just money. It's a marriage that has a financial language, which means a marriage that has one fewer category of things that can blindside it. Now here's what 20 years of this looks like. You are 55. You have been doing this since 33, not perfectly. There were 2 years that were harder than the rest. One period where the spreadsheet didn't get open for 7 months because life required all your attention. But you returned. You always returned. Because the habit was deep enough to survive interruption. Your retirement accounts hold $680,000. Your home has $290,000 in equity. You have an investment account with $140,000 that you built slowly and without drama over 2 decades. You have no secret debt. You have no hidden accounts. You have a financial life your partner can see entirely and vice versa. You are not wealthy in the way that insulates you from all risk, but you are stable in the way that allows you to make choices about your life. You can retire at 62 if you want to. You can help your children if they need it. You can absorb a medical event without it being catastrophic. And here's the thing that the financial projections don't capture. You did this together. The net worth number belongs to both of you in a way that net worth built separately, in parallel, in competing private accounts, never quite does. You didn't split a financial life. You built one. That is what quiet wealth actually is. And it starts not with the right investment strategy, not with the right income level, not with a perfect financial history. It starts with the conversation you haven't had yet, the one where you say, here is where I actually am, all of it. And I'd like us to figure out the rest from here. The machine doesn't care about the secrets you've been keeping. It opens every morning and takes whoever shows up. Show up together this time.